Pokélore Episode 1.
Today we're going to talk about a rare and rather untouched subject about the Pokemon world. Today we're going to talk about Poképhilia. But first off, what is Poképhilia? Well, let's just say that there are people who love Pokemon, and then there are people who really love Pokemon. Sexually. And romantically, of course. So our first question is obvious. Is Poképhilia canon? That means official. Well, a lot of people have seen this image from the Pokemon manga. Here, I'll read it out, as it's written in plain English. We heart Pokemon. The shocking case of Poké love. In the quote it says, "That's the last bath I'll ever take with my tentacle."
Oh, tentacles, huh? Susugu Japan.
Leave it to the Japanese. Not that I'm complaining. So the answer is yes, it's official. Poképhilia is canon. So the real question is, what do we know about it? Well, direct references to Pokélove are few and far in between, not to mention obscure. In Pokemon Coliseum, that was a great game. There was an old lady who says, "You see, my boyfriend is this mighty hyena here. Ho 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 ho." I mean, sure, she could be joking. Or she could be a really big fan of doggy style. As far as the anime goes, there was an episode where they showed a Gothitelle and some dude about to be, well, married. Well, more like paired together. But granted, this is some sort of visual metaphor. It really doesn't say much, though it is interesting. I mean, that's a bit of a weird image to put in a children's show. Then again, Pokemon has always been a bit open-minded. But before I say more, I think it's important we understand a little bit more about the nature of Pokemon, as well as interject a few of my own observations about the Pokemon world. First of all, most Pokemon are sexually multi-specied. Any two Pokemon within the same egg group can breed despite differences in biology, size, and type difference. The most famous example of this is probably the Wailord and Skitty pairing. I can't really tell you how this works, but I imagine it involves a lot of, life seed. Moving on. The basic conclusion we can come to is that Pokemon don't care so much about who they frolic with as one would think, which leaves us with a few implications. First of all, I should mention that for the most part, many Pokemon aren't just battle slaves 10-year-olds forced to beat the shit out of each other. They have a lot of personality and are oftentimes highly intelligent. Take Pikachu for instance, who in multiple times during the show tries to explain to Ash, who appears to suffer several mental debilitations, and others about different things in the form of charades since he can't speak. And speaking of speech, definite proof that Pokemon you might take for granted are intelligent would be Meowth from Team Rocket. He's the only Meowth that can talk. And well, kind of hard to call him just another Pokemon when he can insult you right back. Meowth, that's right. Meow. I can't do the voice. So, Pokemon aren't just animals. They've got their own personalities, thoughts, opinions, feelings, and virtues just like their human trainers. It has always been said that trainers and Pokemon stand side by side. But can there be more than that? A deeper bond? Love? Can people love Pokemon? To answer that question, we must look at the most pivotal piece of suggestive evidence and one of the most intriguing lore ever found within the franchise. Found in a library in Conolave City, there exist some Sinnoh folk tales. We're going to be looking in one story in particular, Sinnoh Folk Story 3. There once were Pokemon that became very close to humans. There once were humans and Pokemon that ate together at the same table. It was a time when there existed no differences to distinguish the two. Basically, human beings and Pokemon were once one and the same. But it doesn't stop there. In the literal translation of Sinnoh Folk Story 3, the myth originally referred to Pokemon and people marrying each other. Marriage! As in, my hips are moving on their own. As in, doing the do, cuckoo cuckoo. This is canon. Now before people freak out or get all weird, I would like to point something out. Though I'm planning to do an episode on this subject in the future, I will briefly mention it here. As a longtime fan of the Pokemon franchise, I don't actually believe that Pokemon and humans are all that different. In fact, I'd go so far as to say that human beings actually share a lot of the same characteristics as Pokemon. Take Sabrina for instance. Fairly early within the anime series, we found out that human beings, though you had to be born with it or otherwise try your best to train, actually have latent psychic abilities. So wouldn't that mean that human beings are at least in part psychic type? I mean, think about it. So there you have it. Poképhilia. It's one of the least touched upon subjects in the Pokemon world, but there exists substantial evidence suggesting that it actually does happen. Despite the trainer Pokemon stigma, love can and probably does bloom. And I, for one, think that's beautiful. I mean, it's not like I have a special attachment to my shiny Gardevoir or anything. Now, before people get all huffy or disturbed, I would like to say that Pokemon isn't just some show or game little kids play on the bus to school. It's a worldwide phenomenon that has left its mark as one of the most successful franchises of its kind. I grew up, as did many others, with Pokemon. It really taught me a lot about myself and even proper English, ironically. Part of me still wants to be a Pokemon master. In fact, I hope to one day win a world tournament with a all female shiny team. That is why I believe that lore, no matter in what context, is to be appreciated and cherished as part of the things we love. Because it's these sorts of things that make the Pokemon world that much more in-depth, personal, and vibrant for the longtime fans who have since grown older. And I think that's great. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you enjoyed it, feel free to like, favorite, and comment down below. Feel free to share how you feel about Poképhilia and Pokelove. And of course, subscribe. Plenty more videos are to come in the future, so feel free to check them out. Thanks for watching. This is Reaper, signing out.